viewing GD and all the various media houses that are here today. I want to today begin by introducing our head table. With us today we have our political leader, Honorable Alan Shasney, who will be joining us via Zoom. We have the Senator Ferropolius of Dennery North, and she is here to join the proceedings. What I want to make absolutely clear is the United Workers' Party's continued dissatisfaction with the level in which the St. Lucia Labour Party continues to enforce the curfew. Now, it is our view that when you are going to infringe on people's fundamental rights, people's freedom of movement, for example, in this case, that it needs to be done in a proper, transparent, and democratic way. It is our view that the St. Lucia Labour Party has chosen an unconstitutional way in which they have instituted or gone about the whole business of confining the entire population. The United Workers' Party does not believe that a Minister of Health, with the stroke of a single pen, can determine that the entire nation can be locked up at home. When we were in government, we set the example by ensuring that those rights and freedoms were only derogated if there was emergency powers. So, for example, one would have recalled that we had instituted the state of emergency. And even though there was the COVID-19 Act, what we made sure is that we went through the constitutional process of the Governor General declaring, first of all, that a state of emergency would take effect within 7 days. And within those 7 days, Parliament had to go and to debate the whole matter of the state of emergency. So we did it in a very transparent, democratic way. What is very troubling is that the St. Lucia Labour Party came into government July 26 upon being elected 3 months ago. And what they did is that they kept the state of emergency. But this is after the same St. Lucia Labour Party vehemently misled the people of St. Lucia to believe that the state of emergency was unconstitutional and it was an infringement on the rights of the people of St. Lucia. And they paraded themselves as the guardians of the people's rights. It is no doubt our shock and our dismay at the fact today that we see, instead of continuing that democratic process, that the St. Lucia Labour Party has chosen to betray the Constitution, violate the Constitution in the interests of being politically right. This is our opinion. So, getting rid of the state of emergency, the biggest motivation in our view is that they wanted to be politically right. They want to continue to tell the people of St. Lucia that the state of emergency is not the way to go. However, what is also quite interesting is the shameless flip-flopping, the shameless double standard, the shameless duplicity that we see in the institution of the COVID-19 Management Bill Act. Now, St. Lucia, you would recall that when the United Workers' Party moved with haste in the middle of the pandemic to be able to get the state of the COVID-19 preparedness bill passed, that we came under tremendous fire from the opposition. In fact, there was a boycott. When the bill was passed through the lower house, the SLP attempted to derail the legislative system of this country by ensuring that all of their senators boycott the passage of the COVID-19 bill. And what they said then was that the COVID-19 bill was unconstitutional. That was supposed to have been the Thursday. On that very Sunday, we had the infamous irresponsible march with the St. Lucia Labour Party held in the city of Castries, saying to people that this government was about to infringe on their rights, that this government was using the pandemic to violate the rights and to keep people locked up at home. We are now 3 months into their tenure. July, we are now in October. The only fundamental change they have made to the COVID-19 bill is to change the name of the command center. Now, one would have thought that a bill that you thought was unconstitutional, that you would have taken this bill and the first thing you would have done in the first sitting of the parliament following the official opening is that you would have repealed the COVID-19 Act. They didn't do that. So the St. Lucia Labour Party administration continues to mislead the people of St. Lucia on a range of issues. And I believe that this is a very, very, very sad and telling day for our political situation locally. Now, more history. You would have seen that when we attempted to pass the COVID-19 bill about a year ago, the Bar Association came out then and wrote and said that they had a lot of concerns about the manner in which the bill was passed and they wanted to vet the bill. Well, I'm very happy that a year later, the Bar Association is yet to register any major complaint about the COVID-19 bill. So I take it to mean that their silence on the COVID-19 bill means that they agreed with the United Workers' Party back then, and they agreed that this was a good bill now. And so therefore, it then baffles me that the same Bar Association seeks to celebrate that bill. And I am at loss, and I'm asking them to explain what is their real position on the COVID-19 bill, because today I see the association's president celebrating the fact that this is a good bill and it's legal. I feel very vindicated as a legislator back then who voted in favor of the COVID-19 bill. So we continue to see a lot of flip-flopping on a range of issues, and I am very sorry if the people of St. Lucia continues to be very confused on a number of the issues that are coming to the fore today. So these are my opening statements. I want to introduce my colleague, Senator Ferropolius, to be able now to deliver some opening remarks. She will be followed by our political leader, and then we'll take your questions.
Step back a little. Feel better then? Further. Okay, wonderful.
Thank you, Senator Fede. Moi vle di un bel bonjour pour tout peuple Saint-Lucie. Tout ça qui ka suivre nous à sur Facebook, Sky FM, GVD TV. Bonjour tout maman Flabo. Et puis tout ça qui l'autre pays. Nous ka souhaiter un bon journée créole. Nous savons que la maladie COVID-19 a affecté manière nous ka célébrer tradition ça là. Mais nous ni espoir que la vie nous kay retourner comme l'habitude et que nous kay célébrer ek fete koman may Saint-Lucie. The United Workers' Party would like to wish all St. Lucians, both here and abroad, a safe and festive Creole Day. As we are aware, COVID-19 has transformed the way we work, do business, socialize, and celebrate. The most undesirable effect of this pandemic is its huge death toll. The hundreds of St. Lucians, our loved ones, our family members, friends, and acquaintances, the sons and daughters of this country who have made their untimely departure from the land of the living. Fellow St. Lucians, the emptiness and the void experienced by some, the numerous questions left unanswered, the misgivings and resentment that overcome many as they reminisce, they ponder on the actions and the indecisiveness of this St. Lucia Labour Party government cannot be treated with silence. We must continue to be the voice of those who scream and yell in silence, those who were fooled during the election through bribery, the many caregivers and council workers across the length and breadth of this country who have conveniently been sent home after so many years of service and whose positions have been filled by Labour Party supporters. So, Mr. Prime Minister, since you and your troop have been in office, you have demonstrated to St. Lucians mixed connotations of what you really mean by the tagline, putting people first. The Minister for Housing recently announced government's intention to nullify the debts of all tenants of the CDC buildings. Didn't those debts exist way before the pandemic? And why write off all the debts and still intend to waive the full amount for December? While the United Workers' Party applaud the intention to reduce the debt of the CDC tenants, we must admit that this is a country. Couldn't you not consider nullifying debts for a year and a half, for example, and ask tenants to pay the outstanding amounts at 50%? And going forward, what would this new lease agreement suggest as the consequence for non-payments? This reprieve, Mr. Minister, must be commended, particularly as it is extended to all and sundry, irrespective of one's political affiliation. So in the preservation of livelihoods, please explain to St. Lucians why this government did not apply the very same measure. Please tell us, we beg of thee, why the contracts of only UWP supporters in some offices not renewed? Why were they conveniently replaced by only SLP supporters? If you truly believe in your tagline, then show a bit of impartiality in the appointment and reappointment of workers. The list that we ask is for this government to be fair with the citizens of this country across the board, and not when you deem it unavoidable. In your own words, Mr. Prime Minister, you admitted that your government is one of inclusivity, a principle of which I am a strong advocate. However, if you truly believe in an inclusive approach to governance, let it not be about taking care of your flock. Rather, let your actions and the decisions taken by members of your cabinet reflect meeting the needs of all St. Lucians, yellow, red, green, blue, like you have articulated. This is your time to lead. Your time to lead this country and its citizens, not about widening the gap. We want to assure you that the United Workers' Party is looking on. The St. Lucia Labour Party government will fool you into believing, like they have been doing for a very long time, and they continue to, that the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Act allows the Minister of Health, on the advice of the Chief Medical Officer, to place a curfew on the entire country as a whole. This is not true. Ça pas vrai. Section 17 of the COVID-19 Act allows the minister to impose physical distancing on individuals within a particular area or the entire country in the interest of public health, and where physical distancing is imposed, allows him, the minister, to require a person to confine himself or herself at his or her home. This does not give the CMO a carte blanche authority to confine all citizens, whether they are sick or not, to their homes. Neither does it give the CMO blanket control over the people of St. Lucia. The Chief Medical Officer must have evidence that a person is infected or contagious, and that persons with whom he or she has been in contact may also be infected or contagious. Evidently, the Constitution would not relegate its authority on sacredly held personal liberties to a government minister. Fellow St. Lucians, the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Bill was created by us, a United Workers' Party administration. And the intention then was to give the CMO the authority to act on evidence that a person was sick. It was not created to dilute or water down or weaken the authority of the Constitution. And you need to bear that in mind. This is the whole picture that the SLP refuse to convey to you. And doesn't the confinement of the entire population to their homes has the same effect as the curfew? A rose by any other name is still a rose, isn't it? So it is deceitful to pretend that the people of this country are not still under a curfew. They are. You are, fellow St. Lucians, still under a curfew. In fact, the hours of confinement are more restrictive than a curfew. Anything resembling a curfew must be granted by the emergency powers of the Constitution. In other words, a state of emergency is the only legal framework that can be used to impose a curfew. This Labour Party government must stop misconstruing and misinterpreting the COVID-19 Act. They must stop fooling you, St. Lucians. Simply changing the name makes you believe that a different approach is used. Sapavwe. Don't be fooled by that. You see, fellow St. Lucians, to extend the state of emergency would not only be an indictment on the part of the Labour Party, but more so a gross embarrassment. Instead, they allow their political pride, not the science this time, to guide them. Their political pride. This present government makes a mockery of itself. Let us not forget, as Senator Fede has already told us, that it was the very same set of persons who spent months demonizing the COVID-19 bill. They called it illegal, unconstitutional, all kinds of names that suggest the same. Through their actions, they incited much division and hostility at a time when the United Workers' Party government was asking for all hands on deck to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. But you know now, what are they doing? Asking people, asking you, all St. Lucians, to unite. While in opposition, the St. Lucia Labour Party, along with the opposition and independent senators, related to that bill. And now this very same SLP in government stands firmly behind it. Along with the president of the Bar Association, they claim that there had not been sufficient consultation on the bill. Although it was shared and input was sought from several stakeholders. Now suddenly, the same president of the Bar Association, in firm support of the very same bill she opposed a year ago, and applauds the government's interpretation of it. This is first-class shame and gross hypocrisy. A clear case of flip-flopping. Conversion, may I add. If this is not a government of convenience and deceit, then they need to explain the obvious double standards and changed mindset. How can any impartial and conscientious citizen trust this Labour Party government? For way too long, the Labour Party